Hey guys, welcome back to Sex in Trum City. I missed you. I know it has been a little while since I recorded an episode, but I'm so happy that you're here. Thanks for being here. And I wanted to welcome my guest. Hi, Ray.
Hi. I know my last name is unpronounceable for people too.
I want to let you do it because, with my Brazilian tongue, I'm going to be like,
It's a Polish last name. So my name is Ray Szereszewski. I'm a dating and sexuality coach in Toronto. And I'm here to talk all about sex and relationships with you today.
Awesome. Guys, are you guys ready? This is going to be spicy. We're going to go in the places that I know are going to make some of you uncomfortable, but bear with me because I wanted to deliver you something that you are aware of. You are asking yourself those questions and you are being confronting those situations in the dating world, the modern dirty world. So let's talk about, Ray, the fact that a lot of people are desperate for this connection, but we are not being 100% truthful, and we are not really giving the right information for our partners or for people that we are connecting.
Yeah, I would say one of the major things that I start when I coach my clients, we always start with goal setting for a reason. And I find that when I'm talking to people before they book me even, they're like, "Oh, I just want to hook up." And then we drill down on it. And everyone that I work with, men, women, they're not looking to hook up. They're looking to find a romantic partner, but they feel like they have to settle for hooking up. As if they admit that they want some sort of romantic connection, like makes them weak or makes them vulnerable, or like that they're playing games or whatever. But the point is that most people are willing to settle for a hookup. Some people genuinely, they're just looking for hookups. That's, I would say, by the time they come to me, they're tired of that. They're not looking for that anymore. And that typically is anyone from their early 20s to their 50s, to be quite honest.
And that's like, this is a kind of tiring game, I think, because I am tired to say that I have been single for 9 years, okay? And the reason why I have been single for, there's many reasons, but one of them is that I am not ready to be with a guy that will not be a commit to my lifestyle, accept me for who I am, embrace the whole thing. Believe it or not, Ray, I have been rejected just because I do a podcast that talks about sex and relationship.
It is amazing how intimidated people can be when you talk about sex openly, or they assume that you're either like an expert and very good at giving hand jobs and make assumptions about you based off of that, or they're just so intimidated that they don't want to talk to you at all. They're not looking for that kind of a girl. It's an interesting like catch 22 that you get stuck in when you talk about sex openly.
Yes, because then then there's a complete, like, so there's people that say, oh, okay, she's talking about sex, she's a sex coach, so it's okay if I kind of go there and just like, you don't know this person. In like, imagine me, I'm a dude that come to you and say, hey, Ray, so do you like a butt plug? Like,
Yeah, when people come up to me and say things like that, normally I respond with, "Oh, I'm a professional and this is not the kind of conversation we're here to have today." And if
yeah,
that's what you're looking for, I can refer you to a bunch of excellent sex workers who you could pay for that conversation. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
I'll
yeah,
just
yeah,
yeah, I just it's really nice being a professional in this industry that you can say like, "Oh, nope, that's inappropriate. Nice try." Let's,
yeah. Yeah, and that's happened to me because I post something about, I don't know if you guys that hearing this maybe be shocking to you, and I don't know if you know that, right? But there is in the news a Brazilian girl. She had lost her boyfriend, and she got arrested with the ashes of her boyfriend in a butt plug.
Oh, I heard about this.
Do you heard about it?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was funny.
There is love and there is true love.
I mean, like if you think about it, that's the kind of thing where I mean, it's not going to be a family heirloom unless it's the kind that you can sterilize. But even then, could you imagine like being passed down? Like instead of the grandma's ashes are in a ring, it's grandma's ashes are in this butt plug, and now it's on to you. You may put
Yeah.
it on your mantle or you may put it in your butt, but either way, here's how you clean it. Like I'm just imagining how awkward and funny that would be.
Yeah, and then I was like, oh my gosh, is that a message that she's trying to say, like he was a really an asshole to me?
Maybe he was just really good at anal, and she had to find a way of keeping that memory alive.
Exactly. So I post that on my stories, and somebody just slide on my DM asking me if I like, and I was like, it's not because that I talk about that I'm willing to talk about my personal preferences to open privately to strangers, you know.
Yeah, I would just block in personally, I would block and delete. Those kinds of people are not looking to engage and have a real connection or have a real conversation. They're just looking to jerk off for free.
Yeah.
So like I think that as a woman on the internet, sometimes we're too nice to people. If someone opens up with an already inappropriate message, just block and delete, you know?
But this is what I feel there is a lot like online. I am in a few apps just to see what's going on out there, and obviously to kind of date and try to, you know, have, when I do have a free time, let's be clear, because I don't have much. I have a lot of people saying, like, for example, I have this guy saying, come to Montreal, stay in my place, but I don't know you. Why would I? So there's a lot of things. What do you think? Why is this kind of like going on? Because are we really losing the romantic side of the aspect of dating?
No, I think one of the issues is that the assholes are really obvious and easy to spot, right? They're making themselves known by reaching out to you and saying inappropriate things. But the ones who are not like that, it takes time to get to know them. It takes time to like match with them, have a good conversation, see where it goes. And so it's kind of a struggle because you have all of these people throwing themselves at you, which are all of the like people with boundary issues. And they're the ones who are so obvious. And that's why it seems like there's no quality people out there anymore. Because that's really like, they're the ones who are just sort of on that approach. Versus if you're on a dating app, you have to match with a bunch of people. And the ones who are not like that typically are a lot shyer, or they're maybe not as good at approaching people online. And so you're not necessarily connecting with those people or having a good conversation because online dating is a skill and people aren't very good at it. And you get the people who aren't good at it who then say, come to my apartment in Montreal. And you're like, I don't know you. And then you get the other half of people who aren't good at it, who don't know how to say something engaging that makes you actually want to respond to them when they reach out in the first place.
Yeah. But you know, like for the girls out there and they are talking to me, they'll be like, oh my God, this guy's gross. How did he approach me this way? How can them improve? Or even those guys like are really being happy on the game they are playing? Like, honestly,
I'm sure it doesn't work for them either, and that's all they know how to do. Okay, here's what I will tell you. So I met my husband on a dating app many years ago, and I'm still, for my clients as well, I also am on dating apps. So like sometimes I'll match with people, see how it is to be a woman on the internet still. And here's what I will tell you. When you match with people based off of just your hormones and your vagina, you're going to make bad choices. Right? When you're only swiping through, there are so many hot people, right? Like on the internet and cute people. And there's so many options for us as women that like, I find for me, if I'm swiping for half an hour, the first 10 swipes, I'm really generous. The last 10, I'm not. I'm like, like I find excuses to swipe no. So part of it is I would give 2 tips, which is number 1, limit the time that you spend swiping and do not swipe when you're bored, right? If you're actually looking to date, like set a timer, 10 minutes, that's it. Swipe, but swipe intentionally, right? And then look past their photos. Guys take notoriously terrible photos, right? Yeah. Obviously, you need to think that they're cute. That's really important. But you want to look for things in their profile that you connect with, right? That's part of it. Look for things in their photos that you see, oh, maybe. Look for things in their profile that you're like, could this be what I'm looking for in a relationship? And if they make it very clear that they are just there to hook up and that's not what you're looking for, do not let your vagina do the thinking for you.
For example, when dude posts a picture already, like he's showing himself in his underwear, like, guys, please, like, come on. Me, when I see that, I'm like, this is not a husband or a boyfriend material.
Yeah.
There is not.
Well, that's not even, they might be, but that's not what they're on the app for right now. So maybe like, it's one of those things where maybe they're someone's husband, but not right now. They're not putting the version of themselves forward that shows that they're ready to have that kind of a relationship.
Exactly.
And I should add, like, I'll tell a personal story. When I was on dating apps in my early 20s, I was actively hooking up with a guy whose personality I liked, and he was very good in bed. And when his dating app profile came up, I almost rejected him because his profile was so terrible. And I stopped myself at the last second because I realized who it was. And I was like, oh my God, this guy is not doing himself a service on his dating app profile. He does not look good. So as much as dating apps are important, that in-person connection is just as important, because when we match based off of just someone's appearance, we don't necessarily account for a personality connection, an in-person connection, or that chemical connection, right? You like how they smell. There's that sexual spark. You can't look at a photo and know if you're going to connect with them emotionally or sexually.
No, exactly. But I feel like when you do go and you are going to a date and you connect and you have that spark, sometimes it's hard for us to kind of just keep in that vibe without letting them cross the line of this, just the sexual interaction there. You know, there's the vibration, there is the tension. And I always tell to my girls, I said, hey, listen, do not sleep right away. But then there's people telling me, if I don't sleep right away, how am I gonna know if he's the one for me? Because sex is important to me.
I think sex is really important. It's this cat, like, the thing is, I'm a sex positive person. If you want to sleep with someone on a first date, I'm not going to tell you not to. But here's what I will say. You end up clouding your judgment, because when you have sex with someone, your body gets a flood of hormones, and you're going to end up clouding your judgment on if you actually like this person or if you just like having sex with them. I will also say that when it comes to that, yes, sexual compatibility is really important. And you know if there's a connection, like a sexual tension connection, very soon. We all know. Whether you have sex with them or not, you know if you're sexually attracted to them. In my mind, if you know you're sexually attracted, that's an automatic second date, right? If you don't like how they are in bed, do you care about learning that on a first date? Or do you want to do that with someone where you know that if the condom breaks and you get chlamydia, that you can call them and be like, hey, we should both get tested, and they're not going to slut shame you. Right? Like, you want to know this person well. I'm not even talking like, are they the one? Fuck if they're the one. Do you know that this person is going to treat you like garbage the night after? If you are not sure, you can wait. Right?
But there's a lot of guys still out there that they're very judgmental in the way that if a woman really climb her body and her sexuality and say, I am allowed to have a sex with you as the same way that you are allowed to have sex with me, my desires and your desires are equal in this moment, and we should not be judged by. There is still guys that are going to be like, oh, I slept with her, huh, she's too easy, I lost interest. There's still guys like that, a lot.
Yeah, I also think that sometimes people think they're interested until they sleep with you, and then they realize that they just wanted to fuck you. Right? Like, there's that like allure in that thing of like, oh, it's really hard for people in general to determine if you're actually attracted to them and their personality, or if you just want to fuck them. But I think for a lot more guys, there's that extra added bit of, like, a lot more of them maybe are less in tune with their emotions, and they're not able to identify that difference in feeling until after. That young men have a word for this. They call it post-nut clarity. Like, post-nut, like after they ejaculate, they feel clear. They're like, oh my God, this is not someone I want to date. This is not someone I want to be with at all. They're just horny and they're thinking with their dicks the same way that we think with our body parts too. So really, when it comes to dating, you just have to make choices for yourself and what feels good. Maybe some great relationships come out of a hookup. So it's trusting your gut instinct. And I know that for a lot of women, we say we want to have sex, but really we're just sort of going with the flow. We're just vibing. We're just going with it. And for women with a really high sex drive, it's really easy to just go for it and not necessarily think about, is this even what I really want to be doing? And is this what I like to do? So I would say just there's a very big difference between being sex positive and saying, yes, I want to do this. And if he slut shames me, then fuck him. I'll never fuck him again. I don't care. I'm going to get what I want out of this. And, oh, well, we're going there. Now we're going back to his place and we're kissing. And like, oh, well, I don't really feel like saying no. Do I even feel like saying yes? It's not just, do I feel like saying no? It's, am I saying yes? And am I saying that with integrity to myself?
Yeah.
So,
and it's like, you know, like I had a period of my life where I went many years without sex because it's just the way it was. Like, it happens like that. So there's a time where I said, okay, fine. I'm going to take care of my kid, and I'm going to invest myself, you know, build myself up after separation, a very bad breakup. And anyways, what happened is that after that, I decided to proceed with this guy, and we were kind of dating. We like each other. We went on a few dates, whatever. I went to the bedroom thinking I'm going to have like this amazing sex because there was chemistry when we kissed and when we were together. Everything was fun. Honestly, Ray, it was the worst sex I ever had. The only thing he was doing is like, and then I'm gonna fuck that bitch. I'm gonna fuck that bitch. I was like, oh my gosh. Oh my god.
Isn't that so disappointing?
It is like extremely disappointing. I think guys like that just watch too much porn and they think like all they have to do is like slide in and slide out, slide in and slide out, and just say fucking bitch, fucking bitch, fucking bitch.
Yeah. Did you know that 80% of women can only orgasm from having their clitoris stimulated? Like, that's not a thing you're gonna learn in porn or apparently sex ed, apparently. But like
exactly. But Ray, why guys that wants to hook up or like at this point in my head, I'm like, okay, those guys are online dating. They must have been like a champions on the gaming of a house.
So here's an interesting thing that happens when all you ever do is have like one night stands and hookups, right? You never form an attachment to the person enough for them to feel like, I don't know about you, but when I was younger, I feel like dating when you're older is a kind of a different game. But when I was younger, I had to know someone well enough before I could correct them. Because I wasn't sure if their ego would get in the way. I wasn't sure if I'd get kicked out. I wasn't sure if they'd ignore me. In fact, sometimes they did ignore me. And so to be able to say to someone like, hey, I actually prefer it like this, sometimes it takes a bit of trust. And when a guy is not having enough interactions with someone to build that trust with a woman, like she's going to be like, actually, that's my thigh. You know, that's part of it. Yeah. And I also think that some people, if they're hooking up, they really just care about themselves. Like they just don't care about anyone else. Now, I do want to add that this is not every man. I am not talking about every man out there. There are lots of quality men.
Exactly.
Yeah. We are just talking about the guys who seem to be having a lot of sex and still haven't learned how to do it right.
No.
And so if you do have any men who listen to your podcast, I'm just going to give some information.
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
Okay. So when women are having sex, penetration's great. You know what's better? When you touch the clitoris. So even when you're penetrating her, go for that clitoris. Got a little bullet vibe, whip that out, right? Go down on her. Fingering. There's so many other things you can do.
And the nails first, please.
Yeah, like lesbians have more orgasms than straight women when they have sex because lesbians understand that it's about the clitoris. So, you know, and the other thing is that a lot of people are like, oh, we had sex and like movies are showing them going straight to penetration and 30 seconds later, the woman is orgasming. But like so many of us need the rest of our body touched first to feel warmed up enough to do that with pleasure. So touch other parts first, touch other parts second. Make it about like like a smorgasbord, like a mishmash. It doesn't need to be like first is, we kiss and then I touch her boobs and then we each like touch each other's like below the waist and then I get inside of her and that's it. That's the end, right? Like go back and forth. Yeah, that's how you have better sex.
Absolutely. I would say that my best favorite parts and when it turns me more on is not even when they touch my clitoris, is when they touch my neck or my back or my thighs or like the what is the name of this in English? I forgot.
Like the wrist, like the inside of your wrist.
Yeah, like just lick me or I hate when the guys going too direct to the point, like when they go too direct to the clitoris and they think like, okay, now I'm gonna make her come, and they expecting you to like come right away. Like this is not how the woman body works.
Well, even just the expectation that you're gonna come or come right away is kind of an exhausting one because then it feels less about me getting to enjoy myself and more about like you want me to come because it makes it like adds to your credentials. Like I made her come, Yeah. If you can't take feedback, take a deep breath and you know what I mean? Like people need to be actually communicating when they're in the bedroom with each other. Or you'll meet these guys who will say things like, or girls too, let's be honest. You meet people who will be like, oh, well, like, I know I'm good at this because every person I've been with before this point liked it this way. And that doesn't matter. The person you're with right now might not like it that way. So you got to adapt.
Absolutely. This is so important that you say that because there's guys say, oh, I'm great to make girls come or squirt, like, do you ever squirt? I'm great to make that.
Ugh. Why are so men so obsessed? It's like men have become so obsessed with squirting because they want us to finish in a way that they can see so they know we're not faking it. Yeah. Right? Like even then it's like, okay. Yeah. Also, I want to add when people are like, oh, I make girls squirt. It's like, great, I'm not girls.
But if we are faking
one person.
Maybe because they're not doing the right thing.
Well, the only person who gets punished when you fake it is you. So I recommend to all of your lady listeners, stop faking it. If you don't want to finish, just say, I'm done. And if they're like, why didn't you come? be like, wasn't feeling it today. Or, oh, you weren't listening to me. Or, listen, I had a really nice time, but it's just not going to happen. But the only person who suffers when you fake it is you, because they think that what they did is working and they're going to keep doing it. And then you end up having terrible sex.
Absolutely. And I think like a lot of times girls feel that pressure that they have to come. So if they don't come, they have to lie about it to boost the ego of the guy. So the guy doesn't feel bad or doesn't get hurt right there, or they're not able to have an erection afterwards again. Or,
well, guess what? He's an adult man and he can handle those feelings, right? Like we treat adult men like children.
absolutely.
Like, is he an adult or is he not? Right? This isn't a child. This is an adult man. Be honest with yourself. Be honest with this person. And if they don't handle it well, that's giving you all the information you need on whether or not you want to sleep with them or date them.
Before we finish this episode, that I wanted to go through, because I have been in conflict with this idea of men wanted to have easy sex, not invest themselves. But then there is another part that there is men. Why do you think they choose to pay a woman to have a sex with them so they don't have the BS to deal like with the romantic aspect of the relationship?
Yeah. So I know a lot of men see sex workers, not all men, I should add, but even men who are in committed romantic relationships will still see sex workers. And I do think that it's because like communicating your feelings is challenging. And sometimes men do find women where they'll say, this is what I want sexually, and the women are just unwilling to do it. And it's not even for something weird, or I say weird because as a sex person, weird is not that weird. But there are some guys out there where maybe they're busy, maybe they fly a lot for work, or they travel a lot for work, and they just can't build that connection, or they don't have time. And there's many reasons why people would see a sex worker if they do have a fetish that is really hard to do with an ongoing partner on a regular basis. I think that sometimes you just want to feel good in your body, and paying someone to do that is how you're going to get it fastest and easiest if you can afford to. So that's what that is. I would also say though that once again, like not like men who buy sex work, they're not inherently scumbags. It could just be that they have a certain need that they need fulfilled for whatever reason, and this is the way that they're able to fulfill it in a way that's healthy for everyone involved. So I do want to add, I know we've talked a lot about like the worst of the population on this podcast, right? Like there are a lot of great men out there who are trying their best and who are really thoughtful and caring, and maybe just struggle to communicate or struggle to show off who they are well on their dating apps to make that connection. Or maybe they just struggle with talking. A lot of people forgot how to communicate with people over the pandemic. So there's a lot of people out there who are great. And I don't want to say that men buying sex are not potentially in that camp of people as well. I think also there's just when you don't see sex as something that's inherently sinful or something that's supposed to happen within the context of marriage, then it's a lot easier to say, okay, there's nothing wrong with purchasing this service. The same way that I pay for someone else to do my toenails, which is a thing that feels good and all these reasons, I can pay for someone to do this with me in a way that makes me feel good as well. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. It's just like for me, when I see the two side of the, two scenarios, I'm always like, there's nothing wrong, like you said. And I feel like who is being really the bad guy? Because I know guys out there, I know them personally, that they have no shame to just go on the dating apps, just to collect some numbers, have some hookups, sex, and they know that all they are for is just the sex, but they are the type of don't whine, they're gonna charm the girl, and I've been telling them, like, you are not giving yourself the permission to find a real connection, and they're okay, like they're just like, I don't care, I don't want that now, I'm having a blast, like. And I know they're very selfish people because the way they talk, and I'm like, I don't want to nothing to do with you, like stay away from me.
I think sometimes we forget that other people are people, and this is one of the issues with dating apps too. You see a face and it feels like a video game. You don't realize there's another real person at the end of that with their own hopes and dreams and thoughts. And
Thank you for saying that. That's so
it's
important.
really, yeah, it's really easy to forget that these are real people that you're talking to on the other side on their own phone.
And no, it's so important that you say that, because I don't think some girls too, when they play with the emotions of somebody, they can be in a mental health very fragile, and this playing game with their emotions, you know, like, oh yes, we're gonna date, no I'm not, oh I like, no I don't, oh I'm gonna ghost you, oh now I'm back, let's hook up again, or oh what, you know.
So we got to read the signals, right? Like, we're not idiots either. You know, we can lie to ourselves just as much as they can lie to us. And so if someone is behaving in a way that doesn't match with their words, or you feel really anxious for some reason, there might be a reason for that. And it might be that your body is telling you something that is true that this person is not telling you is true. So that's one thing to keep in mind. But I mean, I know this sort of goes back to, should you even have sex on a first date, right? Like, I'm a big fan of, if you don't want to have sex on a first date, and this is something that you're trying to do for yourself and you struggle with that, make plans with someone after the date that you cannot cancel, right? You have plans with friends or family that you have to get to. Make it like, set yourself up for success. Find a system of dating that works best for you, whether that's having sex on a first date because that matters to you, or having 2 or 3 dates first so you can get to know them and see if it even gets that far, right? Like, and obviously you can break your own rules. No one's going to actually get you in trouble. So I would say that, like, you need to find a way that works for you, that feels true to you, that makes you feel like you are respecting yourself when you're dating.
And that's what's Ray for you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. And like I said, again, you can always go at Share with Ray on Instagram, find her, and she's there to help you navigate the dating world or any issue that you are having on the sex department as well. And I'm your host, Beatriz Vieira. And as you know, I'm going to invite you to go on my Instagram as well, at Pod Sex Intro on the City. Let's talk what you wanted me to discuss. Leave me a message if you wanted me to ask to any of my guests. It will be my pleasure. And that was it for you. In that note, I will leave this episode by saying, read the signals. Because the only responsible for your happiness is yourself, nobody else. Take care until next time.